Hi, this is Melvin York, and this is Gardening with Daddy Pete. I think today we need to title this session Scout, maybe Investigator, whatever you want to call that, because that's exactly what we're going to be doing is doing some investigating, some scouting, looking around. And this is one of the big things that does help in gardening. If you're new to gardening, one of the things you do, I know that you're excited when you see things grow and you're always looking at them, you're watering, you're talking to them, you're taking care of them. But then something happens. Some of the leaves start to wilt. A plant dies. Then you start wondering, what did I do wrong? Maybe nothing wrong. 9 times out of 10, you probably did not do anything wrong. But not only does soil play a part, everybody thinks, well, I've got problems with the soil. Not always, very seldom. Then I've got problem with the watering. Could be. We need to learn to water. We've talked about how you check your depth of your soil for watering. Make sure that the water is getting down to the plant roots. That could be another situation. Sometimes one of the biggest factors, heat. We coming along here and running at temperatures around 80 degrees, and all of a sudden it bounces up to 100, gets dry, the sun's coming down on plants. And that does cause a lot of heat stress in plants. So that could be part of it. But here is one of the biggest things, and it is pest. Pest management is big, and if you're doing vegetables, if you're doing fruits, if you're doing fruit trees, fruit brushes, if you're doing your landscape, on your shrubs, your trees, and you see a problem with some of those, good sign is you'll see wilt, you'll see leaves curling or turning brown or scalded looking. These is time to start and doing some scouting, some investigating if you'll have it. And that's why I wanted to title this Investigator Scouting. And that's what we're going to do. Now, a good site for all the pests, and there's many different pests and disease out there in plants, but what is the good thing here, an NC State Extension has one of the best that I've seen, identifying the problems, giving you what the leaves or the plant looks like, and also identifying what the culprit looks like in most cases. So that would be a good thing for you to write down, would be the NC State Extension. Go under pest management and look that up, and that would give you a world of knowledge when you're doing that. So we're going to just give you some overviews of some of the things. Now, a lot of the things that we're some of the simpler things, and most of the ones that do cause problems and later on is things like mites, and we have spider mites, which is a different one, aphids, beetles, different types of beetles, so many different types. A lot of times people get beetles confused with ladybugs. Spiders in the garden, stink bugs, that's a big one. They really go back, and we'll talk about those with squash and pumpkins and even your cucumbers and all. Caterpillar worms, again, a lot of different varieties of those. That I like the hornworm, for instance, is one that tears up. Then we have the squash borer. Kind of looks like a lightning bug with black wings, only it has a segmented body that's orange with black dot on each one of the segmented parts of his body. So that's just some of the few. Now, when I was talking about scouting, here's some of the tools, and you don't need them all, but you can kind of figure out what you do. But there's just a good list here off of one thing is a lot of times you'll need maybe a smaller lens, or if you've got the magnifying part on your phone. That way you can see for inspecting mites and the insect aids and even feeding damage. It starts out small sometimes. Traps of various forms, we'll talk about that. You want to take pictures of this, which 9 times out of 10, your cell phone will provide a good enough picture for that. You want a shovel, spade, container, paper bags, cups. You want to collect the plant or disease for insect samples. Keep a permanent marker handy to label your containers with, so you know when you pulled them, which plants you've got them off of. And it don't even hurt to make a diagram of your field. Like if you've got 10 of these, 8 of these plants or whatever, look and see if only one plant's infected. And that's something that you do want to keep up with. And when you do scout, that's a good time to do that. So most of the times what we want to do is we walk the fields and check. Number one, to see if we see leaf curling, leaf scalding, wilting, plants that's died. One part of the plant that seems like that it's not maybe from a wind or an animal broken off, but maybe it's starting on one part of the plant. Look for that. So make sure that you walk through and kind of give it a real good look over. Make sure that you walk a different way every time. If you're walking out the row this way, next time walk back the other way, because you're liable to see a hot spot or something that comes up on just one set of leaves. And at least do this weekly. I would suggest with our vegetables now that you would do it more than that, but at least once a week. Again, let me tell you some of the things to look for. It's cupped, chlorotic looking, spotted or malformed foliage, discolored, damaged, swollen, or sunken areas in plant tissue. Insect feeding, such as holes in the leaf, entrance holes in the stem, chewing or rasping damage. If you see a lot of insects flying around or on the ground or on the plant, an aggression of insects, is it pockets? Is it less vigorous or dying plants? Just anything out of the ordinary is what you want to keep up. Now, they make different traps that you can buy, and you can get those at your local garden centers. One thing that works good is just your regular old fly traps like we used to have. You can hang those out in there near some of your plants, and you can see that. Then they make different types of traps that you can hang, and some that you can even lay on the ground. But I would encourage you to buy just a few, just to make sure what you've got going on in your garden. And the thing is, we catch it early. We can take care of that, and you don't lose plants, and you don't lose the fruit that you're going after. Just to give you one example, the old stink bug, they're bad for squash plants, for cucumbers, they're bad to get on pumpkins. Look under the leaves, the old squash bugs, and then the stink bugs, two different animals altogether. The squash bugs, you'll see them hatch out in a swarm like. They're black, reddish looking, then they turn bigger, they turn a whitish gray, and they have a different view and a different makeup than a stink bug. Squash bugs will totally destroy a crop in just a little bit, and they'll go straight for the fruit too. One thing about that, turn those big leaves over. If you see little egg pockets, and you'll see they look like little small eggs or little dots all together in a group, cut that leaf off, burn it just as quickly as you can. Do not put it in your compost bin, and do not throw it in the trash, because that way you've not killed that insect. So that's one form of scouting. You will find most of your pests either on the stem or under the leaf of your plant. Now, I know that you're going to see a beetle, like being beetles, eating on the leaves, or if you'll look close, they're eating and boring a hole into the bean itself. Yes, you can see that. But I'm talking about a lot. Aphids will get on the stem, but they'll also get underneath. Aphids, they're pretty brazen. They'll just about go anywhere. But look underneath your leaves of your plants. Whitefly is one that you'll find usually on tomato. Greenhouse whitefly will still get on your tomatoes and peppers in the garden. These are things you want to look for. Look for those eggs that's been laid there. Remove those leaves immediately. If it's already damaged, remove the plant. Burn it. Get rid of it. It may not have affected the rest of your plants. Therefore, start your trapping. And then, again, a good place to go for the solution of handling these pests would be the NC State Extension Service under Integrated Pest Management, Scouting, and Control would be the way to do that. It's amazing how such a little pest can cause a lot of problems. But again, if you're a new gardener, you will learn these things. You'll kind of know when they're laying these things. And again, NC State's has a great page on letting you know when they come out, what time of the year they do, when they start laying their eggs to reproduce, when they're going to hatch. And these are times that you can keep up with. Now, those will vary, I'm sure, depending on how quick that we have an early spring, so to speak, or a later spring, or early summer or later summer. I know that these things go by temperature sometimes, and not only just, okay, it's the third week of June and all the stink bugs are going to start mating. No, that's not the way it works. It just gives you a good idea. But you're going to be in your garden. You're proud of it. You're looking at it. You're going to be there picking fruits. Observe that. If you're picking squash, zucchini off, during that time, just lay the leaves back and just look. You don't have time to lay them all back, but that's what we were talking about. Go down your rows this way today. In 3 days, when you go back to pick the rest of the zucchini that's ready, come the other way, lay some of those leaves back and just glance at them. It makes a difference. Look at the stem. Now, the squash borer, again, that's going to hit the bottom of those vines. And you'll go out there one day and pick squash or zucchini. It's going to look fine. The next day, it's going to be wilted, and the whole inside of the stalk's been eaten out. Look for the bug looks a little bit bigger than what I call a lightning bug, but again, it's got black wings on it. It does have a segmented back part of the body in 4 to 5 segments that's orange with a black dot on it. You can tell that's a squash borer, so you want to take rid of that. There are organic solutions to this. There are commercial chemical solutions to this, depending on which one you would like to use. So make yourself a scout, an investigator, a detective, whatever you would like to call it. Start looking at that. Go through, and when you get a moment, look through that page or several pages on NC State Extension on pests, identifying them, get to know them when you see them, and then that helps you while you're in the garden. Set your traps now, whether you've had any problems or not. Pests are coming. It's hot weather, and a lot of them show up at this time, especially when the fruit starts producing. So go ahead and set you some traps. Look, identify, take those pictures, identify what's going on, look at what you need to do, learn the habit of that insect. You'll know where to look for its eggs and what it's after. I hope this helps, especially if you're a new gardener, and if you're an older gardener, maybe that answers some questions for you too. You can go to our webpage, www.daddypete's.com, and you can sign up and for a free email that we do send out to you on your email. You can also, while you're there, click to hear these podcasts or ask us a question. Send us a question in. We'll be glad to answer that for you, and that way we'll know that we're trying to cover some of the topics that's helpful to you. Also, while you're there, you can look over our different products. We have something for every part of your landscape, garden, or yard. Please take time to do that. And if you have a few more minutes, look at our About page. We've been hanging around since 1907. We're a century farm, and we'd love to have you look at that. So for right now, when we get off here, think about becoming a detective, a scout, and check out your garden for pests. This is Melvin York, and this is Gardening with Daddy Pete. We'll see you the next time.